What's up, everybody? Bandit and Chad here for another Taco Tuesday, and this time we got some pretty unfortunate news. So I was getting some stuff out of my truck the other day in the rain, and I decided to fall down the hill, and while I was falling down said hill, my elbow made contact with my tail light. Now, unfortunately, this was the tail light that was just replaced when my bedside was replaced, what, 3 or 4 months ago now? So we're looking at some pretty significant damage. It's more than just a little crack, but we'll show you that here right now. So here's a look at the damage of the tail light. As you can see, it's just about elbow size there, and this one's pretty much toast. I mean, you can see it's pretty well pushed in there on the corner. It's got lots of shards. You would think this would be pretty strong, and I'm sure it is pretty strong. It looks like thick plastic, but that must be the weak spot. So if you're gonna fall into your Tacoma, try not to hit it in that exact spot. Yeah, so that was definitely some more significant damage than I was expecting, and if you're wondering, it did also hurt my elbow. So it was really kind of dumb, unfortunate. You know, I wasn't really expecting that to happen per se. You know, definitely not falling down, but I also wasn't expecting to break my taillight like that. But thankfully, our friends at Sparks Parts did hook us up with some more replacement taillights, and we will be installing those here probably this week. So be sure and stay tuned for that. But yeah, really kind of a shocker there, and not really what I was looking forward to towards the end of last week. But Chad also pointed out that my windshield is now cracked, which I'm certain that he did through some kind of sorcery, because it was not cracked before he got in.
And somehow I did it on the outside from the inside of the vehicle, which,
right,
you know, that just happens. But it so happens that my parents own a glass company. We are able to hopefully get that looked at and possibly fixed here pretty soon, because well, it's not too big. If it gets to be too big, then you do absolutely have to replace the windshield, but this should hopefully be a repair that can be done without replacing the entire windshield. Obviously you can't replace a windshield piece by piece, it's all or nothing. So hopefully that could be looked at here soon, but luckily he did just get his inspection recently, and so that's not going to be a problem any whatsoever, and especially since it's not in the driver's view, again, not an issue at all.
Right. So there are a couple other things to talk about for this week. One, we did just get the Land Cruiser back home over the weekend. I did end up driving it back home. So in the past 3 weeks here, we've been to Harlan, Kentucky and back, and we made the roughly 2.5-hour journey from Blacksburg back to Shenandoah County, where I'm from, and everything is working out just fine there. So actually, and surprisingly enough, we're getting a little bit better fuel economy than I was expecting out of the Land Cruiser. We are averaging right around 14 miles to the gallon, which compared to these trucks is not all that impressive, but compared to other solid axle SUVs from the 1990s, it's pretty good, and that's actually some of the best fuel economy that I've heard out of an FJ80 Land Cruiser.
Especially at this age as well.
Absolutely, after over 212,000 miles, that's pretty good numbers there.
Right, and we can probably attribute some of that to removing, you know, various parts and pieces from the engine bay that the pulleys don't have to run off of anymore.
Right, but we will have another video coming here pretty shortly regarding our four-wheeling experience there in Kentucky, and B, just an overall update of all of the things that we've changed, how we got it running again, and everything associated with that. So be sure and stay tuned for all of that. So going over some news from around the industry this week, we have a really interesting story here from Ford. So it looks like Ford has plans to stop all production of cars, at least for the United States. So there is supposed to be a new Ford Focus coming out very soon, and it looks like we will not be getting that. So also with that, you won't have the Focus ST, you won't have the Focus RS, you won't have any of that. But they plan on killing off the Focus, the Fiesta, the Taurus, the Fusion.
Are they keeping that EcoSport thing?
They are keeping that because that is technically a crossover.
Okay.
But I would guess that a lot of these are not going to be truly killed off. It's probably going to be very similar to what we've seen in the past, where, you know, they basically throw about a 1-inch lift kit on it, call it a crossover, throw some more dumb-looking body cladding on it, but we're all happy as American consumers because we like crossovers.
Yep.
But mainly the whole reason that they're doing this is to put more money into the production of their trucks and SUVs, which may be a good thing. You know, We've heard that Ford has been working on a new Bronco. They're also talking about a new smaller version of an off-road vehicle, smaller than a Bronco, which we're still hoping is going to be called the Bronco 2, but no news on that. But it looks like Ford is just trying to be smarter. You know, they are a global company and they will continue to make Ford cars elsewhere, but here it looks like we're only going to be getting the SUVs, crossovers, and trucks. Now, with all that being said, we are going to keep the Mustang. You know, the Mustang is pretty much a staple for all of Ford Motor Company, and we will be keeping that and all of the associated trim levels and everything like that. But for the rest of the cars, it looks like if you want one, you better buy one now. Now, this is coming after Ford just got a new CEO, I believe, and there's been several stories coming out with Ford kind of struggling to make money here, you know, struggling to make profits, whether that's because they're too diversified in their product line or they're just making poor financial decisions. I'm not sure, but it certainly looks like from a business standpoint, Ford is doing all of this to try to make more money, and hopefully it works out for them.
Right, and of course, kind of going along with that, one of the reasons that maybe they aren't doing so well with the smaller vehicle sedan and crossover market at this point in time is because gas prices aren't too high, so the consumer is buying, you know, those bigger SUVs, trucks, Ford Raptors, you know, these things that aren't exactly known for their fuel efficiency. And that's not just in Ford, that's all across the line. But as he had said, maybe some of these sales numbers aren't exactly as high as they were, or it could be because of a diversified lineup. There are many factors that maybe, you know, we just don't know about at this point. But for the final bit of news for this week is coming from Fiat Chrysler, and that is that the Jeep JK just recently stopped their production, and probably about a week or so ago, and there was a video out there showing them assembling the very final Jeep Wrangler JK. It was a 4-door, and it was in the Rubicon Recon trim level. It was a white one, and you know, I think it's pretty cool. Even though we're not Jeep fans, it's still kind of cool to see the very last model of any vehicle come to its final, you know, the final one that they produced.
Especially after nearly 12 years of production. I mean, the JK really was a revolutionary vehicle for Jeep, and it really helped them sell a lot of units and really keep FCA alive. You know, if it wouldn't be for Jeep, we've heard this several times, but if it wouldn't be for Jeep, FCA would be really in a rough shape. And you know, certainly there with that 4-door JK, that really helped sales numbers and really moved a lot of units for them.
Absolutely. So with the JK Wrangler moving along now, and now they're completely focusing on the JL as well as the JT, the Jeep truck, which is, if you don't know, it's basically going to be a Wrangler JL that's been chopped and kind of altered a little bit with the frame and body to have a truck bed, so then Jeep can once again compete in the mid-size truck market as they once did. They had the J10 and some other nameplates that we were kind of used to seeing there for a little while, kind of like a Scrambler and some of those other ones.
It looks like from the spy shots, at least that I've seen, and I think a couple sources have confirmed this, I think it's only going to be in a full 4-door truck, and it will indeed carry over that removable top there that the JLs have.
Which would make sense. I would say that, I mean, especially with Tacomas, I believe the most popular trim, at least from what I can tell, is probably a double cab short bed. Correct?
I would say absolutely. You know, the shorter frame length gives you the most maneuverability. Most people in the midsize game aren't super concerned with, you know, a huge truck bed, and they just want something fairly normal. But I would say the two of us are definitely in the minority. You know, me having the access cab, you having the double cab long bed. That's certainly not the trucks that you see most often.
No, definitely not.
So that pretty much wraps up everything we have to talk about for this week. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.